Democratic lawmakers have added a proposal to legalize 8 million illegal immigrants to their economic reform package, which they are hoping to push through the legislature before the 2022 midterm elections. And this is really significant because of the old school reasons why. Those would be that if you encourage people to illegally immigrate, of course more people are going to illegally immigrate if they believe that they will be legalized once they get to America, if they wait long enough for the political winds to turn that way. But it's also really significant in a second reason that has only really emerged in recent years, and that is that a lot of people in the United States, whether they believe this because of truthful reasons or not, believe that they are not being represented democratically, and this was really well expressed by January 6th and by the Stop the Steal movement. It didn't matter to a lot of these people whether there was any veracity to the claims that the election was stolen. They weren't really analyzing it with looking at court documents and looking at forensic accounts of the election. They simply felt that they were not being represented. And there is some truth to that, in that so much legislation and so much of the governing power has been given to the federal government that it's almost a tyranny by a majority at this point, simply because whoever holds the reins has the ability to make so many decisions that impact the lives of the everyday person, which is why people on the left absolutely abhorred it when Donald Trump and the Republicans were in charge, and why people on the right absolutely abhor it now that Joe Biden is in charge. There is so much power granted to the federal government, and that creates an axis of instability in the ability of our republic to sustain itself, simply because 49% can be dominated by 51% when we have a federal government that is so powerful, instead of a state like Florida being able to legislate how it likes and a state like California being able to legislate very differently. But the result of that is that if you legalize 8 million new voters, if you go on Wikipedia, it says that the popular vote in the 2020 election was 81,268,000 for Joe Biden, 74,216,000 for Donald Trump. That's less than an 8 million vote margin. So if you were to legalize that many people, which would give Joe Biden, I mean, presuming most of these people are going to vote for Joe Biden because his party just gave them access to the ballot, this would be more than enough of the margin that Donald Trump lost the last election by. Can you honestly tell me that anybody who felt that they were not represented by the democratic process in 2020 will feel represented by any federal level elections or even statewide elections after that? Can you tell me that they would even be wrong to feel that way if one political party let millions of people into the country illegally through their policy while they were in power, and then legalized their being in the country in a way that is not agreeable to anybody on the right? It really would be a complete subversion of democracy by basically just legalizing 8 million new people to vote for Democrats, and it would really invalidate the results of future elections. And while this would provide the Democrats with a short-term political gain, it's much like packing the Supreme Court or nuking the filibuster. For that short-term political gain, more security in elections, you risk so much. You risk the integrity of the republic, something that I love and something that many Democrats love. But you need to acknowledge the fact that Republicans have a legitimate reason to not want 8 million new people who would be pretty much exclusively voting for Democrats to be legalized to vote in the country, because that would be completely unfair to them. And if the shoe was on the other foot, Democrats would feel the same way. So we need to very carefully watch this measure, because if it successfully gets through the legislature, this could lead to very bad outcomes in the aftermath of future elections, where conservatives, Republicans, people on the right feel as though they are no longer adequately represented by the democratic process due to this laundering of voters into the country.